Hello, my name is Janelle Torres, and this is my presentation on differentiated instruction. As you can see, I have a definition of what differentiated instruction is. I took this from ascd.org. Pretty much what I feel this is what most elementary classrooms do today. As my experience is only in elementary, a K through 6 school, I don't know what instruction looks like in middle school and high school. I can only comment on what I have experienced and seen. So when I think of a traditional classroom, I think of a teacher's desk in the middle and all of the desks in a row, and it is like a teacher group student interaction. Differentiated instruction is kind of breaking apart that traditional view and working almost more one-on-one with students, but still in a classroom setting. How do teachers differentiate? Well, I have a little graph here. They can differentiate through different contents, processes, products, and even learning environments. And this is all based on students' needs, the student's readiness, the student's interests, and the student's learning profile. And this is accomplished through different instructional strategies and management techniques. I just listed a few. One of the ones that you might be the most familiar with is small group instruction. In a K through 6 setting, we are constantly breaking up into small groups, both for writing and math. This allows the student to the student and teacher to work in a more personal setting. So you get to work with those students who are struggling more personally, as opposed to just a traditional whole group where they either get it or they don't. Other strategies would include literature circles. Again, it could be considered small group instruction, but also when you know you have students with or who struggle with reading, putting them in literature circles with other students in the same reading level as them will help them, or could help them, grow and get better by practicing with students who are on the same level as them. I have also seen teachers put students of low reading with students of higher reading, almost like a buddy system. So they're working together, and it's encouraging the students with the lower reading levels to try and make better progress. I've seen learning contracts come into play, tiered lessons, so you're not doing a whole lesson in one day, you're breaking it into different parts. That helps keep the engagement of the student, of all students, not just those who struggle, but the whole class. How do teachers prepare for differentiated instruction? With students, the first thing is communication. Communication is key. It is important to explain to both students and parents what differentiated instruction is. Even though they might have an idea of what it is, they probably don't know what it's called, because I didn't know that what we're doing in the classroom had an actual name. Some of the things that you might want to explain is that all students will be challenged. Students may be working on different activities and assignments. Not everyone's going to be working on the same thing. You might explain the role of the educator, that it might look different as opposed to a traditional classroom setting. You might explain how activities are assigned, how test results will be used, and how grades will be assigned. By doing all of this, it'll help develop a common understanding of what differentiated instruction looks like and why it will be beneficial for the students. You're also building that relationship between you and the student and the parent. Students will be more likely to participate when they know why you're doing something. A question that can be reinforced that can be asked to help reinforce your decision for differentiated instruction can be, is everyone good at the same thing? I've actually heard this question several times throughout my classroom career. Being able to explain why we are going to help you with what you need is key in engaging the students and having them feel as they're a part of their learning job. This also shows that the teacher cares about them, and it might open the student to consider how others might be different or similar to them. In the classroom, it's important to have organization. Again, traditional instruction looks a lot different from differentiated instruction. Things that you would need is floor space. There's probably going to be multiple furniture arrangements to support the different activities, such as the whole group activities and the small group activities. Materials. Usually you want to have a general specified area for materials. That way it's available to everyone, as everyone will be doing different activities and assignments at different times. Things need to be clearly labeled. Work in progress folders, so students can keep their work that's not quite finished in a common place, is helpful. Having specific places to turn in finished work and unfinished work. Bulletin board and wall space is very helpful as well. It is a place to display rules and procedures so the students know throughout the year what's their expectations. It's also a great place to post examples of work that you want to see from them, as well as any other helpful information throughout the year. What does it look like in the classroom? Well, there's not just one way to implement differentiated instruction. There is no one right way or wrong way. Some starting points would be using simple means of gathering information. That is using test scores, using a chapter test as a pre-test to see where your student falls so you can better help them understand. Providing support for struggling readers, again, using a buddy system or starting that small group instruction right away for those readers who you know are going to need extra help. Starting with one subject area at a time. If you're a new teacher and this is a new concept for you, it can be very helpful to start small and then add more elements as you go on. I found this on the ASCD website. I thought it was very neat. There's an actual PDF file that you can go and click on and download, and you can use them to hang in your classroom or put in like your focus folder or planner, just as a little reminder of what it is, what it should be, and what it is not. Oh, I'm sorry. I seem to be having technical difficulties. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, is it differentiated instruction? So lecturing as primary instruction. Lecturing I consider more of a traditional method. It's not very applicable for differentiated instruction. It can be hard for students with learning disabilities or even behavioral issues to sit still through the duration of a lecture. Having different activities to break it up or using different type of medias might be a better method as opposed to lecturing. YouTube has some great content. TED Talks has some great content. There's all kinds of resources out there to find information on several subjects that might be better and more engaging to students rather than just talking. Not being able to retake failed tests. Testing today has such a negative stigma to begin with that having a test be final can be destructive to students and not beneficial. Some students just aren't great test takers. You may have a student that knows the content in and out, but when it comes to testing, they have anxiety and they can't actually get what's in their head onto paper, and they may fail the test. And so I don't believe that it's a great way, it's a good measure to know your students. A better strategy would be to letting a student go back and make corrections on the errors. Maybe not give them full points, maybe only give them half points. I see this a lot in a 6th grade math class that I have inclusion in. If they miss the questions, they are able to go back and redo the questions for half points. And it also lets them reinforces their knowledge of what, okay, I missed this, now I'm going to have a chance to correct it, so they know that material. Grouping students based on previous year's scores. This is just a horrible practice. It's a bad habit. Students change. We all know that. Children lose information over the summer. Some children might take summer school and they might be better off than where they were. They're constantly changing. A better practice would be to wait to group students based on what you know from the beginning of the school year. Give them those pre-tests, give them those reading challenges, see where they fall before making up your mind. Also, I mean, just your judgment, knowing with that personal connection, knowing your student, you're more able to put them in an appropriate group rather than looking at statistics from a previous year. Bonus points for classroom participation. Bonus points can be tricky. There are several students that are introverts. They don't like speaking out loud. Last year, I have an example of a 6th grader who was terrified of speaking out loud. And instead of punishing her by not participating in a whole group, she participated other ways. She participated one-on-one with the teacher. She participated in group. She was okay in group, just not to a whole class. Again, this can be seen as a punishment rather than a reward, and we don't want that negative stigma with these kids. Offering points for different forms of participation would be a better practice. Last but not least, testing every Friday or on a specific day every week. Again, testing is not the best way to gain information or statistics from your student. A better way would be to employ different methods. So instead of testing, maybe have a little chit chat with your students. See where they're at there, or go through their assignments. If you feel the need for a test or a quiz, that's great. Maybe just not calling it a test, maybe calling it a review, or we're going to check our understanding would be a better method than having that test. Again, the resources I used, ASCD.org had some great resources and great publications. The Iris Peabody Vanderbilt site was